And a real common thing that white people do over there is they become English teachers. Apparently it's very easy, you don't need any qualifications, you just need to basically look like me, and they're like, yep, that's your credentials right there. And so I was living in like a share house. The guy at my share house set me up with like an interview at a local school. And we go along, and I meet the guy who was interviewing me. He's a pretty normal dude. He was like mid-30s, Japanese dude, but he spoke pretty decent English, so we could kind of communicate all right. We go and sit down. And he says to me, all right, Taylor, so nice to meet you and all that. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your work history back in New Zealand? And this was the moment that I thought, like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna come up with something better than a pizza guy here. I'm gonna lie, and I don't normally lie, so this was a big moment for me. So I said to him, I used to work, I worked for 4 years in the AV industry. And so this was the mistake, because I didn't know at the time that AV means something different over in Japan to what it means over here. You're nodding along here. And if you don't know, so over here stands for audio visual, which means doing like, you know, tech and lights and cables and all that kind of thing for like a concert or a performance. Over in Japan, AV stands for adult video. Yeah, so just to recap, trying to get a job as an educator, just told the guy interviewing me that I did porn for 4 years, so things are off to a great start. And you know, to this man's credit, he didn't immediately end the interview. He soldiered on. Like if I shut my eyes now, I can still see the several emotions that he flicked through really quickly. Like first it was confusion, then it was horror, and then he had this sort of weird kind of acceptance on his face. And then I saw a little glint of curiosity in his eyes. And I was like, okay. And so he says to me, oh, okay. That's the first time I've heard that in one of these interviews. Is that sort of thing normal back in New Zealand? Now remember, I don't know the distinction, and I'm just trying to gas myself up. I'm trying to say things that sound good in an interview, so I was like, oh yeah, well everyone's done a little bit of AV. You know, around the house maybe, just not professionally like me. And he was like, well, how did you get into it professionally? And I was like, it's the family business. Yeah, Mum and Dad met during a job. She had to retire pretty soon after because she got pregnant. When I was 13, my dad reluctantly showed me some of the basics. And then when I was 14, we got the internet at home and I figured the rest out for myself. Started my school's first ever AV club when I was 16, some good memories there. And you know, graduated at 18. One day, someone didn't turn up for work, there was a slot that needed filling, and I went to work with Dad, and the rest is history, as they say. And he's like, oh, okay. You enjoyed this line of work then? And I was like, oh yeah, it was good. You know, you get to experience meet a lot of people, experience a lot of interesting workplaces. And he got a little nervous there, and he was like, oh, you didn't do any AV like in an actual school, did you? Because that could be like a bit of a conflict of interest there. And I know exactly as my thoughts, so I had to think quickly, and I was like, no. I used to do AV in places like hospitals, churches, and a couple of retirement homes. And he was like, oh, okay, that's all right. And he said, well, so why did you leave? I mean, it's, you know, it sounded like things were working out all right for you. It's an interesting career to do there. And I said, well, you know, the money's not great, and it's harder on your body than you might think. There's a lot of crawling around on your hands and knees and heavy lifting involved. It's, you know, there's only so much of your life you want to spend doing that kind of work for that kind of money. And he was like, oh yeah, I can understand that. And then he was like, got to be honest with you, Taylor, you're probably not the right man for this job. But I've had a good time talking to you, so why don't you let me walk you out to the street? So I'm disappointed, but I kind of understand. Like, I don't think I'd be a very good teacher. And so we're walking along the hallway, and it's just kind of quiet for a second, and then just before we get to the doors, he stopped me and he was like, look, just before you go, like, you know, you said the money wasn't great and it was hard on your body, but I mean, man, you must have had some good memories, right? You must have worked with a lot of really beautiful women during your time in the industry. And I went, it was usually just me and like 3 other guys. Yeah. So, you know, whenever I'm doing that joke at like open mic, I love doing shit with the shows where the doors are locked, because people would come in halfway through that joke and it just sounded like I used to be a gay porn star and it hadn't worked out for me, so I'm giving comedy a try. So we're filming it tonight. I think I'm going to upload this this clip to Pornhub. I think I'll call the clip "Sweaty White Boy Satisfies Whole Room of People Just Using His Mouth." I think we'll get some hits on that. So in about 6 months, when you get home, just go to Pornhub and search Taylor Ruddle comedy. We'll be up there, I imagine.